Thank you for joining the next chapter with me, Denise Young. Today we're going to talk about the chaos that is the Winnipeg market in 2026. This episode is basically about why the spring market is so competitive and, maybe what we can do about it. So lately I've been seeing homes in Winnipeg going like 90, 70, I'll say 70, like anywhere up to 200,000 over, right? Like in the last 2 weeks of March, I guess that's, shortened a little bit. I think we're seeing mostly around the 100,000 over. But in January and February, we did see several houses go up to even 200,000 over. And we're not talking in the $1 million homes. I'm just talking under $1 million. The majority of the houses I'm looking at are 700 and under. One of the ones that I saw went for around 700, asking around 500, right? We're one that went this week actually was only asking 140,000, a nice little fixer upper, and sold for what was it? I have it on my list here at 230 or something like that, close to that. And 50% over asking. There it is. It sold for 210. 50% over asking. It's become a very frustrating market for buyers. But not for I'll get into more of the numbers. So that's what I'm seeing right now. I'm Denise Young, and I help you move forward one home at a time in Winnipeg and the surrounding areas. I've been a realtor for just over 18 years, and the last time I saw a market that was this chaotic was in 2021, when the interest rates were incredibly low and people were just so cooped up from COVID that it just seemed like buying a house was the best thing to do. So I wanted to record this episode to chat about it, as I know some buyers are getting really frustrated, and just talk about the reasons why I think this is happening and about what I think we can do about it. Sorry. So what I'm seeing right now out there looking at houses, we're finding that the showings are booking very quickly on houses that don't change the default settings for appointment making. It can be very difficult to get an appointment. It could be days of just red. That means booked up. So we are not able to get in. And so if you're seeing a house that you really want to see, let your realtor know as soon as possible so that you can get the appointment made. I've been calling realtors when I can't find an appointment spot and seeing if we can double book. I don't mind being in the house at the same time as another realtor and other people. So, I don't mind. I know I've been changing the default settings and allowing double bookings at my own listings so that, it gives buyers more flexibility. It's really tough. It's a frustrating enough market already. Let's not frustrate buyers further by making it hard for them to actually get in and see the house. So changing those default settings is really important. But as a buyer, also let your realtor know, because most ones that are allowing duplicate showings are still only allowing maybe 2 or 3 showings at a time. And back in the day, I remember being in houses where there's 5 to 10 showings at a time. And that was prior to 2021, because during 2021, we were only allowed 3 people in the house at a time, and that was the realtor and up to 2 clients with them, and that was it. And everybody had to be masked, and it was just nuts. And you basically had a half hour to decide if you wanted to buy a house for $100,000 over asking. And that's how that went. So I'd say one thing I'm seeing less of this time, though, is unconditional offers. I'm seeing some change to sold right away. But I am seeing a lot more going to pending, whereas last time we were seeing so many unconditional offers, and then lawyers were reporting down the road about all the problems that were happening on closing, and then possibly even there was a lot of lawyers talking about the lawsuits happening after the fact, or the possible litigation. Very unhappy buyers down the road. It's hard to be thorough when you have 30 minutes to look at a house and only two people. So, and then also hard to get an inspection approved when you're bidding against so many other people. I had clients competing recently. One house had 30 offers. One house had over 40 offers. Like it's just crazy. And often at that point, I don't know, like, do you even want to get the house if it had 30 offers? Because you've pretty much telling yourself, I'm probably overpaying at this point. So it better be the house. But yeah, so houses are selling fast and with multiple offers. But it's not every house. So it's really important to know that. Like, I made some notes here. Just from March 1st to now. So like it's the 12th while I'm recording this. So in the first 12 days of March, there was 144 reported sold houses in Winnipeg. And 32 of those went 70,000 over asking or higher. That's a lot. So that's not even all the ones that went over asking. That's just the ones that went 70,000 or higher over asking. So yeah, you can see why buyers are discouraged. That was out of 144 sold in Winnipeg. There was 238 in Manitoba. There was one additional house that went over 70,000 that was not in Winnipeg. Out of the 238, then that would be 33. So yeah, these numbers are very discouraging for buyers. That's for sure. But that being said, there are still a lot of houses that aren't going over asking or aren't going stupid over asking. We are still seeing, like, the stats from Jan 1 to now are showing that average list to sale ratio is only 101.5%. That's for all of Manitoba. So, we'd have to like figure out what that is for Winnipeg alone. And, because that's bringing in a lot of areas that aren't doing the Winnipeg craziness. But that being said, like, there's a lot of houses. So some of the things my clients have done is I've had a couple clients go slightly out of town. And I say slightly, a little bit more further than like Dugald, because like if you're too close to the city, it's still crazy. The one that went outside the city still went 20% over the asking price. It was a whopping 80 grand over asking, because it's still too close to the city. So yeah, we'll still see that too close to the city. So yeah, I had someone go to Tyndall, got something in her price range, didn't have to compete, got to have an inspection. So a little bit of driving, but a lot of peace of mind. Another client who was having a tough time with their price range inside the city and the competition, and, really wanted to be moved by a certain date, decided to do brand new in a small town as well. Right. So we're seeing more of that. So we're going to see, as that happens, we will see some of these small town prices go into multiple offers at some point as well, because as the craziness happens in the city and more people decide to go outside the city, it brings up the market out there, brings up prices. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been happening. There are still areas that haven't moved as quickly. And like, it's good to review that with your realtor. I'll often do, once my client gives me this is what I really want, I send them, what's sold in the last 60 days, so that they can see what to expect asking price versus offer price or sold price, they can see, you know, how that is working. I have several clients. I mean, we're seeing a lot of houses go way over asking. I have clients that are looking 50, 60,000 under what their budget is, and still it's not happening. So we're going to have to adjust that to, you know, 80 to 100,000 under what their budget is, so that we can hopefully have room to compete, right? And then, you know, if you're always looking at houses that are going over what you can afford, you're falling in love with places that you can't afford, basically, right? Because they're being bid out. So we have to adjust our expectations. So yeah, there's that. A little bit as to why this is happening. We have very, very limited inventory right now. Sellers seem to be reluctant to list, but there seems to be a lot of people that are ready to buy, right? They're entering the market now that interest rates have stabilized, but unfortunately, people that are in homes currently aren't feeling the rush to move on yet. A lot of people are feeling like they should stay still. So it's creating, you know, pent-up demand as more and more buyers keep entering the market, and there's not enough houses for them to buy. This is compounded by, like, Manitoba is very affordable, so we have a lot of people coming from other provinces to Manitoba, and we also have immigration from other countries. And people choose Manitoba because of its affordability, not because of the cold weather or the snow. But yeah, immigration is bringing people to Manitoba. I sell a lot of homes to to the new population. And so we have buyers entering the market and not enough sellers to sell houses. You know, we talk about how there's like a development around every corner, but they're not building them fast enough, right? Like we can't squelch this demand. We see a lot of people go to new houses because they get frustrated bidding $100,000 over asking. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, do we want to, you know, buy something new, wait for it to be built, move in, and then, you know, spend that $100,000 on, you know, fence, deck, sod, basement, and whatnot, and at least feel like we got something. So that's, you know, some of the conversations we have with buyers that end up buying new. And then some of this demand is also coming from, or some of this chaoticness is also coming from listing strategies. You know, you can see, this is going to be very controversial. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but some of it is, you know, you can see the same realtors doing it over and over. They're under listing properties. It's working for them. That's why they're not getting reprimanded, because the only reprimand is for if you actually raise the price more than 5% after the offer date goes by and it didn't work, right? So if it's actually selling for, what are some of these, like 15 to 50% over asking, it just slides through the system, right? Like there's no reprimand and they're doing it over and over and over. They found something that works for them, and I guess they don't mind basically lying to buyers out there. Those aren't their clients. You're lying to buyers. This house is, let's look at one. This one here sold for 28% over asking. They were listing it for $399 and it sold for $515. So like a lot of people went to look at that house and probably couldn't afford it, because it probably should have been listed at $499, right? Like, and so, you know, as sellers, I hope that those listing agents are telling you, a seller that's accepting this pricing strategy, that if you get an offer you hopefully are willing to take an offer at the price that you are asking if you don't get multiple offers, because then what is the alternative? You're raising the price, and yes, you might get the price down the road, but there is consequences for the listing agent for that, which I realize does not affect the seller. But they will have to prove that they, why they picked the price they picked. And we will hopefully see more people, because yes, this doesn't work every time. We are seeing, even from January to now, we have seen prices go up. I just looked quickly at the last 7 days, and we saw 2 houses go up in price that didn't sell on offer date. And I don't know, did they get offers that they just weren't willing to accept? That's possible. Maybe they didn't get any offers, but either way, they weren't happy with whatever, and they ended up raising their price. So that's how that's happening. So those are the reasons why this is all happening, why the chaos. What buyers need to know during this chaos is get fully pre-approved. It helps a ton, because if you are competing, and even if you're only competing against a couple of other offers, if you have a full pre-approval versus someone else, it does not, it's going to make your offer stand out. If you are dealing with someone who has not made sure that you have your pre-approval, it puts doubt in the listing agent's mind that that they've made sure that you can afford it, because you don't have a pre-approval. How do we know that your offer is going to stand the test of time, that the conditions are going to get met and stuff like that? And a seller takes a chance taking their house off the market while you get your act together and go through all that stuff. And because it's a seller's market, no one wants to do that, because if they have to put it back on the market a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, because your financing fell apart, then suddenly they've lost all their momentum. We saw that with a house in Transcona in, I believe it was September, October of last year. The first offer that they accepted, unfortunately, the poor buyer, their identity had been stolen. And so there was some activity that wasn't their activity on their credit, so they couldn't actually get approved. And that takes some time to get rid of. So they actually had to back out. And I think they tried to fix it first. So they had given them 1 or 2 extensions and then backed out. And then the house just sat, because now it looks like an old listing and everyone's like, oh, there must be something wrong with it. And then they got another offer, and I can't remember why the financing fell apart on that one, but it did. So then again, it falls apart, and then people are like, oh, there really must be something wrong with this house, right? And it's nothing to do with the house. It was the financing or whatever. And then it was like into January by the time they finally got another offer, and at a substantially lower price, right? And, unfortunately, that's the way things go. If you lose your momentum, you're likely going to take lower money. And that is often why we don't want to overprice a house, but we don't want to underprice it so much that you have the entire neighborhood flocking to your house in the 5 days that it's listed, right? You want to create a frenzy of activity of qualified buyers, people that can afford to buy your house. So if you price it maybe 2% under what you expect to get for it, what you think market value is based on the comps, you want to be 1 to 2% under that, so that you can create that flurry of activity, not 49.49% under. This one here sold for $411, they were asking $275. Another one, they were asking $299, they got $380. That's 26.71% more than asking. these are ridiculous numbers. And like, honestly, like, you can be so excited that you got, 49% higher than what you were asking. Or here's another one, 35.05% over. They were asking $299 and got $405. But to me, this just looks like you're just telling buyers, like, we don't know. We have no idea. We don't know. But we do know. We have comps. We can go to the, like, and see. And, like, I did say to people recently, these comps are garbage. Nothing has sold in the last 3 months that's comparable to this house. But I still can give them a educated opinion based on stuff that's selling in other areas. Like, there's still going to be something to compare a house to, a way to do an educated guess. And they're generally not this far out. So there's that. So the goal isn't to just win the house, it's to get the right house. And so I feel like you have to, get fully pre-approved, understand your max price, expect competition, especially if you're looking inside the city. Don't panic buy. That is what creates regret down the road. Panic buying, don't do that. Work with a realtor who knows how to strategize. There's definitely other strategies other than going to, other areas. We can often get you where you want to be. Like, we just have discussions about it and determine how we're going to go about it. And then what sellers should understand is preparation is very important. Pricing is very important. Marketing matters, and not every home is getting these huge offers. If you are wanting to do this under listing strategy, you better be prepared to accept the list price if no one else offers. Important to know that. Like, if no one else is offering, or if offers came in lower than what you were hoping to get, that generally tells you, like, you've already had the most amount of people come through the house, basically, at that point, that you're going to get. You're not getting more than that. So you have to be willing to take that. So if you were wanting more than what you were asking, then you should be asking that. Even in a competitive market, the homes that are prepared still need to stand out. And they, and if they're prepared well, they will stand out, right? Preparing it well and marketing go hand in hand. We need both to make, this happen. We're not looking for numbers like 28%, 28.81% over asking. We're looking for top dollar. We know what the comps say the house should be selling for. We want top dollar in your pocket in a decent amount of time. We don't want to be, 168 days on market. I mean, not in Winnipeg. That's definitely way too long. So yeah, I'm going to say, I feel like the rest of this year is, especially this spring, it's going to stay very competitive. And my predictions for the rest of the year are that inventory will improve somewhat, but it's not going to be enough. We're still going to have a lot of pent-up demand, especially in more popular areas. And preparation and strategy will matter more to both buyers and sellers. Sellers might be able to get away with it if they are in like the most popular areas. But, if you are in a less desirable area, but are able to put in the work to make your house stand out, it could pull those people that were wanting a specific, everyone wants River Heights, or, so you could pull those over to the area you're in by having prepared your home exactly the way your realtor's telling you to do it. And then hopefully, because there are a lot of frustrated buyers and they will start getting wandering eyes, and trying to find solutions to why they can't get what they want where they want it, right? So people still have to move. There's a million reasons, and the market is usually not one of the reasons why people move. So, even though, here, I made a note. Real estate markets go through cycles, but life doesn't wait for the perfect market. No, it never does. People still have to move because their lives are still changing. And, people are still having babies. People are still getting divorced. People are getting married. People are changing jobs. There's like a million reasons. People are dying, unfortunately. And there are so many reasons why people need to sell. So it will happen. But yeah, right now we're just seeing less selling and more buyers. But the people that are selling so far this year have done very well. So if you have a home that you want to buy or a home to sell, please call me and we can chat about it. I'd love to chat about it, to chat about what your goals are and what we can do to make sure we maximize your dollar without making it too chaotic. And thank you for watching. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe, like, and share. And thank you for watching the next chapter.